Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to this week's AI Inside Deep Dive, brought to you by Loop AI Labs at loop.ai. Today we are dissecting really the first major AI event of 2026. I'm talking about Jensen Huang's CES keynote from last Monday. It presented a fascinating paradox.
It really did. What's fascinating is the sheer scale they're still pushing. I mean, the race for size is definitely not over. Last year alone, over 1,000 new large language models were trained on NVIDIA GPUs. And we're hearing that frontier models, like Grok, could hit something like 7 trillion parameters this year.
7 trillion.
Yeah.
It's just an astronomical number. But the core of what Huang was arguing was almost the complete opposite. He made this really strong case for small language models, or SLMs, as the real key for enterprise AI.
Right. He's essentially doubling down on that NVIDIA paper from September 2025, the one called Small Language Models Are the Future of Agentic AI.
But when you look at it from a corporate perspective, you start to see why. These massive frontier LLMs, they have some pretty critical limitations for real-world enterprise use, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for one, they're slow. They can hallucinate. And the big one is that they know absolutely nothing about an enterprise's private data. They're trained on public and sometimes synthetic data. That's it.
And that data privacy aspect, that's not just a nice to have. For regulated industries, it is non-negotiable. They want powerful AI, but they need to keep their data completely locked down.
Exactly. They want what we're calling agentic AI. Think of it as a specialized digital employee that can handle complex jobs on its own, but they need total control over it.
Which brings us to this idea of enterprise AI sovereignty, the enterprise owning the model, the data, the whole pipeline. No vendor lock-in, no data leakage.
Yeah, precisely. And the hardware evolution we saw at CES sort of validates this. The new Blackwell family, for instance, it's all about efficiency and specialization, not just raw power anymore.
So that efficiency ties directly into the SLM advantage, right? What's the core technical benefit that makes them so much better for these enterprise roles?
Well, NVIDIA's whole argument is that SLMs can achieve superhuman performance, but only within highly restricted, very specialized domains. And that high precision, because it's built on the company's own internal knowledge, that becomes the ultimate differentiating asset.
It's like hiring a better specialist than your competitor.
Exactly that. And the metrics, they're pretty staggering. We're talking 10 to 30 times better cost efficiency.
Wow.
And dramatically lower latency. That's essential if you want, say, a real-time voice interface. And most importantly, you get predictability and consistency, which means, the lowest possible hallucination rates.
I like the analogy of human careers. The giant LLMs are kind of like general practitioners. They know a little bit about everything, but not a lot of depth.
Right, whereas the custom SLMs are the specialists, the expert in, say, cancer diagnosis or managing a complex supply chain. In that structure, the big LLMs are only called in as an oracle, if you will.
For those really complex, open-ended problems. So if the goal is to own these specialists, how do companies actually build them?
That's the challenge, and it's where platforms like LoopQ and the Loop AI Agents Orchestra come in. LoopQ trains these custom, small, or tiny language models directly on an organization's own proprietary data. It uses connectors to pull from legacy systems, data lakes, you name it.
And this isn't just retrieval augmented generation, or ARAG, which we talked about last week.
No, not at all. ARAG can it suffers from semantic collapse and starts hallucinating once you get past a few thousand documents. Instead, this approach deeply integrates the knowledge into the custom SLM itself.
So these models, they can be multimodal, they can be updated continuously, and they run at the edge or in a private cloud, which guarantees that full enterprise.
Sovereignty,
right? Consistent outcomes, no vendor lock-in. Loop really seems to support that whole value chain, from training the SLM to running the agentic inference on top of any system a customer already has.
And that is the definitive path forward for enterprise agents. The whole game is shifting from renting generic AI to owning specialized AI.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, this shift from using generic cloud LLMs to owning specialized SLMs it's basically transforming the IT department. It's turning into the HR department for a custom, highly skilled digital workforce.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. Your competitive advantage in the next decade might not be defined by how much general compute you rent, but by how many specialized digital employees you actually own.
A powerful thought. Thank you for joining this week's Deep Dive, where we unpack the first major AI keynote of 2026. We'll be back next week with another episode of the AI Inside series released on X. In the meantime, you can explore how to own your AI model at loop.ai.